You're listening to the Chopped Podcast, episode number 113. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Chopped Podcast, and we're in for a real treat today because today it is time for Blog Talk number 3. I have with me Trevor Depth. He's with Show Me the Yummy, where he blogs with his wife Jennifer, and also the Blog Village. Hey Trevor, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Marley?
Very good. Did I get that intro right? Because I just made that up.
You did. It sounded very rehearsed and wonderful. So you nailed it.
I'm getting better at this whole podcast thing, I think.
You're killing it. You're killing it.
It only takes me 110 episodes, and now I've got it.
Hey, it's the 10,000 hours, right? That's about where you're at now. You're a pro. You're a master.
That's right. I'm Master Marley. Yeah, that's me. Anyway, so yes, thanks for joining me today, Trevor. We're back for Blog Talk number 3.
Always a pleasure.
Wow, it's always a pleasure. And why do we do this? What is this Blog Talk all about? Can you tell everybody?
Well, I think that Blog Talk is all about us trying to help distill the mountains of information on various topics and at least give our opinions, advice, suggestions to people to hopefully make this whole blogging process a little bit easier.
Yes, that sounds perfect.
I made that one up too. I winged it. I mean, I took your lead. You started so strong. I was like, all right, I'm just going to go for it.
You got to keep this thing going.
I love it.
And let's talk about this, Trevor. It's Christmas time. It's the holidays. It's Hanukkah. It's all of those things and the above. And people, I mean, this is a busy time of year for food bloggers.
So busy. Everything happens at once, and everyone needs everything all at once right now, 3 days from now. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy time of year.
Because everybody wants in on a piece of the pie, and that pie is called the holidays.
That's right. That's right. There's
Yes.
a lot of pies being made this holiday season.
I was going to tell you something I heard recently. I heard, I've heard some food bloggers who get kind of upset with this notion of, people will write, they'll put a comment or they'll send you an email saying, hey, I was looking at your recipe. I'm going to make this for my family dinner. And I don't know what kind of product should I buy here? Or what do I do here? Or, I've heard people kind of complain about that. Like, it's kind of frustrating because I want to enjoy my holidays as well. But then I heard another idea, which was to kind of flip that and say, this is the point of our blog, is to help people. It's almost like a doctor being on call, or it's a food blogger is being on call on the holidays to help people through these recipes. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you. When around Thanksgiving and as the big holidays start coming up here in December, that's how we view it. We're on call, and if people are trusting us enough to dedicate that this is what they're going to make for that big event for other people and to impress them, and they've got some questions, we try and answer. Especially, we're always pretty good about getting back to comments within a day or so, and on those days we try and kind of at least give some sort of answers immediately whenever possible.
It's just a mindset switch, isn't it? The mindset switch is, don't be irritated by that. Like, let that be an inspiration. You're there to help them. You're serving them. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's such an important mindset to have in any kind of blog, food blogging, whatever, or any business. I think as long as you're thinking, how can I help my customers, my readers, my viewers? How can I help them? Our listeners, Marley.
Yes.
If that's sort of the driving force, then I think you're going to position yourself in a really good place and maximize your success.
I love it. Okay, cool. I didn't mean to get into something so serious so quickly. Really, it's the holidays. We should be talking about fun stuff. But that just kind of like popped into my head. I had to talk with you about it.
No, I like that. No, I think that's great.
Cool. So we have some questions from people today. This has been a fun month. We're getting great feedback on Blog Talk, and we hope that you're loving it. And if you are, go to the Chopped Podcast and on Instagram, not on Instagram, let me say this again, on iTunes, and give us a thumbs up and give us a review. It really helps the podcast out a lot, gets more people listening to it. Tell your friends about it. That's good too.
Sit around at night with your family with our voices on, It's like the
talk about
the old days.
talk.
Yeah, it's better than TV.
Yes.
This is better than
And you
prime
could
time.
tell your You could tell your spouse, boy, that Trevor was so funny today.
Please do that. Please do that.
Okay, so we have some questions from people, and we would love to share them with you. And let's start out with, okay, how do you back up your photos? And this is the question we got. How do you back up your photos, and do you back up everything or just the images you use on your blog? And Trevor, I have to tell you, I love this question because I just had a freak out moment this month, and that is I store my photos on an external hard drive, and my external hard drive kind of crashed on me. So it was very, very scary moment.
And they were not backed up at all?
Oh, no. I had them only on my
that was the backup.
External hard drive.
That was the
yes.
backup.
And my very loving and geeky husband, Sean, told me that when I say geeky, I mean like he's like a
sexy geek,
network geeky kind of guy.
Yeah,
yes,
sexy geek.
Yes.
Yeah. If he's listening to this, tell him he's got his back.
Yes, he listens. That's right. I will tell him that. But he said that if the data is not in two places, it doesn't exist. That's his very
good.
rigid rule about that.
That's a good way to think of it.
Yep.
That is a good way to think of it. But it turned out okay for you? Did you get it back?
It did turn out okay. What I did is I left the external hard drive through the USB cable connected to the computer, and just out of the clear blue, it finally showed up on the computer, and then everything was there. So
and you promptly backed it all up somewhere else, right?
I promptly wrote a note to myself to back it all up, and
oh boy! Well, this will be good for Blog Talk episode number 4 when we find out you actually lost it forever this time.
Forever this next time, yes. We actually have a network. Our computers are networked, and my husband has, he's got it all set up so that I can just copy everything over, and I'm going to do that for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's a good question. How do you back up your photo? I mean, you have videos too; those are really large. Do you keep all of those? Do you have like a external backup? Yeah,
we do. I mean, there's there are varying levels to which people do this. Some people, like what Sean's saying, in 2 places. Some people like make sure that they physically have them in 2 different locations. And we do that to some extent. We don't do that with the video just because it's so much. Well, I mean, we kind of do it with the video. We don't do it with our raw source footage, but we obviously have the completed videos that we create in multiple places. But so what we do is from a photo standpoint and to sort of the first part of this is we delete eventually. Sometimes this doesn't always happen as we're going, but delete anything that's not in the top. Sort of everything gets a star rating, right? So we kind of go through things and just do a quick pass. These are maybes and then probablys and then pretty good ideas. And then these are the final ones. And that sounds like a lot of passes, but that process takes about 3 minutes. And anything that's not in sort of those top 2 tiers, so if it's not in the top like 15 images, gets deleted. We don't save everything and that's what I would suggest everybody do, because really, if it's not one of the 15 shots, you're just never going to use it. And for a lot of people, you're shooting sort of the same angle and kind of tweaking things. So don't hold on to that stuff. So that's our first thing that we do is we get rid of the excess. And then we back up all of our images. We actually use Amazon, because if you have an Amazon Prime membership, you can store unlimited images, any image format. So I'm talking RAW, JPEG, any image, but you can store unlimited images for free as a part of your Amazon Prime membership.
That must be an unknown feature of Amazon Prime.
I didn't know it, and I found it. I was like, what?
Wow, that's cool.
And so we started doing that. So that's sort of our digital backup. And then we also back up to an external hard drive. So we've got a external hard drive. Then we have the images on the computer that are like the final images. Pretty much most of those stay on the computer because there are just few of them, so they don't take up a lot of room. And then we do a time machine backup of our whole computer, just in case the computer dies, and then the Amazon backup.
Wow, you got the bases covered for sure.
Yeah, and that all sounds like a lot, but I mean the time machine backup's just a USB hard drive that stays plugged in, so we don't really actively do anything there. And then the Amazon one is just as we get rid of the excess photos, we just drag it and at night drag it and drop it, and then the next morning they're all copied and it's done.
Lovely. Okay, good. I think what I'm hearing out of this more than anything is just have a process and try to have your process that it has a couple of different places that you're saving it.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to go overboard on this, but at the same time, you got to have your bases covered.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're if it's just for your blog, this is my personal opinion, is if it's just for your blog and you have those final images online on your blog, online somewhere else, you don't need like a RAID array that has multiple redundancy, and you're probably fine without all that stuff. I don't think you need to go and spend thousands of dollars on tons of hard drives. So that's just me.
You don't need like security clearance.
I'm frugal. I like to,
Yeah. But, I can imagine somebody might be asking the question, why do you even need to keep a backup of the larger file? Like, for example, there's the version of the file that you put online, which is a smaller version of the file. Let's say it's the, chocolate chip cookie. But we like to keep the larger one because it is not uncommon. Okay, maybe it's slightly uncommon, but we will get emails from time to time from a magazine or from different places that, they really love the photo. They want to use it in something. And then we have to be able to go back and find that. So it needs to be it helps if the file name is identifiable. And second, if you have the larger file, then it gives you more opportunities, I think.
Absolutely. And then the other thing is too, as depending on where you are in how maybe proficient you are in post-processing your images, you may at some point want to go back and say, oh, I really know how to process images better now. I'll go redo some of those older images when I didn't know as much, and maybe, get a little more juice out of those images. So that's another thing.
Great point.
Yeah.
Yes. Another thing is you could change the watermark that you put on there too. So, there's lots of reasons. It's good to keep those larger files.
Always. Yep.
Cool. I think we covered that one. Let's go on to the next question. What do you think?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's hit it.
Okay. So we get a lot of questions about video, and I think that's just because you're like the video master, Trevor, you are.
I like that. I get a placard with
video
that.
master. You're going to walk around saying that now, right?
Yeah. I'll make Jennifer call me that.
Please do. I'd like that. Anyway, what is the best way to upload videos to Instagram? Because we all know video on Instagram is doing really well, and the trick is, how do you get it there?
Mm-hmm. So lots of ways. It's really comes down to whether. So the way we do it is we use Google Drive. You could also use Dropbox. You can also use anything, depending on what kind of operating system you're using, anything that syncs with your phone from your computer that you can transfer a file over. Really, however you get it to your phone. A lot of people do that through things like Dropbox, Google Drive, trying to think of some other ones. Any of those sort of file sharing. They have an app on your phone, and you can drag something to a folder on your computer and do it. Those are the easiest ways that I think people can do it. And then some do things like, they'll wirelessly just transfer to their phone. If you have that set up, plug your phone in to your computer and transfer it that way. There's so many ways. It really comes down to what's the easiest for you in your workflow.
And is there that limit of 60 seconds on Instagram that your videos have to be?
Yeah, so they do have a 60-second limit, and you can choose, what that 60-second chunk is within the Instagram app if you want, or you can output a special Instagram version of your video and then use that just on something like an Instagram or Facebook.
Okay, so if you're, just to help translate that for everybody. So if you've got a video, like for example, we've got a video that's a minute and 20 seconds.
Yes.
So we have two choices. We can either in our video, I think we use Premiere Pro.
Yep.
In Premiere Pro, we can reduce that down. We can choose whatever part of it we want to take out and make it down to, 59 or 60 seconds. Or you're saying we can go ahead and upload it to Instagram in its full entirety and pick from the Instagram app which parts of the video we want to include.
Yep. It has a way for you to trim the video in there. I'll give you a third option. I'll give you the third advanced option.
Look at you. I like it.
You can take that minute and 20-second video and just speed all of the video up so that it's only 60 seconds, and then just match your audio up. Obviously, that's going to be hard to talk through on Blog Talk, but that is an option. You can do that as well.
Oh, so you can just condense different parts of it, and then you've got a 59, 60-second video.
Exactly.
Cool. But it is worth it, right? Because Instagram is, videos are doing really well on Instagram.
Yeah. And, I don't know if it's just sort of the holidays, but we've been seeing, particularly in the last few weeks, videos doing really, really well on Instagram. So, yeah, I think it's a great place. And it's been, there's a trend now also of other Instagram accounts featuring videos. And so, those things have all contributed lately for us to a large Instagram growth, much more than just with photos.
Ah, that's good. And not just growth, but engagement too. It seems like your group is really engaged.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of engagement.
That's nice.
Lots of people tagging friends and stuff in photos, which is always great or in videos, because
it is.
That just gets those people to get on there and share with friends. So yeah, it's definitely, I think if you can do it, Instagram is a great place to be sharing your videos.
Nice. I love it. And speaking of Instagram, that kind of leads us perfectly to the next question, which is I asked to make sure she's okay with me mentioning her name, Sarah Manez of the site Life's Little Sweets.
Yeah,
she asked
Sarah.
this question. Yes. Hi, Sarah. I love this question because it's one that I grapple with a lot, and it's to follow or not follow, or that is the question. It's really about it. She mentions that there's some debates going on in certain groups.
Heated debates.
Heated debates.
This is the moment. This might be the moment where it gets heated on Blog Talk.
This is what we've been waiting for, Trevor.
Get ready.
The conflict on Blog Talk.
Okay.
That's right. Fire up the engines. Because here's the thing. Okay, you maybe explain it much better than I do. Why don't you explain what's going on with Instagram and follows and not follows?
So, I think what Sarah's referring to is a strategy that exists where you can go on and find other Instagrammers, other people on Instagram, follow them to kind of give them a little tap on the shoulder, like, hey, hi, have you seen me yet? Are you aware of me? And hopefully then they follow you in return. So you follow them, they follow you. Where it starts to get a little dicey is when people, and I think where the heated part comes up, is when people are doing this to gain followers, but then they will either A, look to see who didn't follow them back and then just unfollow them. This is going to get confusing. But if I, let's say, followed you today and you didn't follow me tomorrow or the day after, and I see you haven't followed me, then I unfollow you. You're useless to me. You were supposed to follow me. That was the whole point.
Thanks, Trevor.
It's hypothetical. Don't take it personally. But so there's that. And then there's the other possibility of you're following them. They do follow you back, but then you still unfollow them because you want the people you follow to be low. You don't want to look like you have to follow people, I guess. This is a thing. Yes. I don't know. I don't get that personally. I guess yeah. What do you think about that?
I'd love to think that it's some kind of popularity thing. Like if I look like I'm only following, let's say I have 10,000 followers and I'm only following 100. I guess that makes me look like, I'm more important. I don't know. I feel bad. I shouldn't probably be ascribing these bad motives for other people, but
we're going to get letters on this one.
That's my take on it.
We're going to get letters on this one.
I know.
I don't know if someone has some other motivation behind it, then that's great. I'd love to hear. I don't get it either because it seems like that's the case. I'm not saying that is, but it seems like the case is like I've got, it's like I don't know, Justin Bieber's got 8 million followers and he follows 26 people or something like that.
Yes.
I guess that's cool.
I could see where there could be some, Instagram algorithm that basically says, the lower number of people that you follow, the better, or if you follow more than the people that are following you, like you could probably get, so far out in front of that you look kind of spammy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm personally, I doubt that there is an algorithm that says, oh, you don't follow many people, but people follow you. So you must just be an amazing account. So we'll promote you more. I don't believe that that's the case, but I'll let someone else hate mail me and tell me that's
more experienced.
Disagree
on that stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
But I think we can all agree that that's kind of, especially the people that will follow and then you follow them back and then they unfollow you. I think I really, really don't like that.
I don't like that. I don't like that either. So I will. Yeah, go ahead. Feels icky.
I was just saying, it just feels icky.
Yeah. So, I will say that we went through a period of probably 1 or 2 months where we were actively going out. Jennifer, I say we. I ascribe Jennifer's work to myself. But
smart man.
Jennifer was going out and trying to find other users, other bloggers, other food bloggers, people who are interested in food and would follow them and hope that they followed us back. But we never unfollowed people that followed us. I'm sure that she unfollowed, people who just never did, I guess. But then we never did. So, I mean, we have a significant amount of people that we follow. I don't know. It's like 2,000 people that we follow. So we definitely did that for a couple months, and then we stopped. And I don't know if that was just kickstarting us over some hump. I don't know. We did it, I feel like, until we were at like 6,000 subscribers or 6,000 followers or something. And then we stopped and we haven't done it since then. And, the Instagram account has grown really well. So I don't know. I definitely see people doing it. It's very easy to see. Well, so in the Blog Village, we have the social stats. So I can actually see, it's pretty clear who's doing it, and people definitely do it. Or there are also apps that do it, and there's services that do it. So for me, what this all comes down to is the same thing as if you run a Facebook ad and you can pay and get page likes. That's the thing that you can do, right? I mean, you can pay.
Right.
If you spend enough money, more people will like your page. But what I tend to see is you'll kind of know when something like that has happened, when someone has 250,000 followers and they do a post and it gets 3 likes and 1 comment.
Yes.
That there's just the point there is they're not as valuable they're not an engaged audience. They're just someone who happened to click like because it popped up in their feed, and they're not like diehard fans. Right. So those
really
aren't
not
as
like
valuable.
An organic reach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And as brands are getting more savvy and metrics are going to become more and more important, the more ad dollars that start going towards influencers, the more accountability there's going to be behind that. And I think that, it's not something that you can, it goes down to the thing in blogging. There aren't shortcuts. You know what I mean? You can try and take shortcuts and it might result in the outcome you're looking for, but in the end, it's not going to be an engaged audience. You might have a bunch of followers, it's not going to be engaged, and it might look good for a short period of time, but eventually it's going to catch up to you, and it's going to be like, why does no one ever comment on your posts? You've got 200,000 likes or followers. What's going on there? Like, what's the deal? So I just think that it's better to focus on creating great content and engaging with your readers and thinking about what they want, how you can help them, than it is trying to hack the systems,
Okay, this is where we're going to disagree. I love it.
Oh, yes. Good. Okay, let's hear it.
Because although I agree with you, I think creating engaging content is really important. I feel like there is absolutely nothing wrong with hiring some service that, there are several services out there that can help you grow your Instagram following. And I have tried one for a little bit sometimes, and I didn't find it to be an unpleasant experience. I feel like it just has to be multi-pronged. So as long as you're willing to and willing to create engaging content at the same time that you have some service, it's really, in my mind, no different than maybe hiring a virtual assistant who writes comments on blog posts for you or whatever. You're not always engaged or know exactly what they're doing, but you're guess kind of overseeing it.
I still agree with you there. I guess it depends on what the service is. Do you know what I mean? If it's a service that's like, give me $20, I can get you 20,000 followers, those most likely are not going to be the most engaged, appropriate followers for you. If it's something, there's services that help you grow your Pinterest and things. I mean, if it's, I guess if it's something that's doing it in a way that provides some sort of context behind how they're generating that growth, then that makes a lot more sense to me. If it's just, a robot that's just going out and finding as many random accounts as they can and liking, and then waiting for the results and then unfollowing, that to me is less, it might grow your following, but I just don't think in the long run it's gonna, we said videos are doing really well, and those everything's analytic driven, and so those things do well and are shown to so many people because of the engagement, and a measure of the engagement versus how long it's been since it's been posted, and then they say, oh, okay, wow, this is getting a lot of comments and people are reacting really well. I'll show it to some more people. Oh, those people are responding well too. I'll show it to some more people. And so that's why I just think if it's shadily done, I guess.
You have to be careful. And I think hopefully what we're doing is providing people some good questions to ask if they are considering some kind of service like that. if that's the kind of practices they follow, that's probably not the company. There are some good companies out there though that, like the one that I signed up with, and I wish I could remember the name of it, but I can't at this moment. I'll put it in the show notes page. They basically would go out and like different people's content that was in my
Niche.
specific arena.
Okay.
Yeah, my niche.
See,
That's right. I
that
like
makes
word.
much more sense. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's essentially what we were doing manually.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Right. So I feel like, having some kind of approach like that is not a bad idea. And I also feel like as food bloggers, it's easy to try to do everything ourselves and to find some service or VA, virtual assistant, or, somehow you can expand your reach beyond just yourself, I think is smart.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's all about knowing the questions to ask to make sure that that growth is occurring in a way that you're comfortable with, is appropriate for your brand.
Yeah.
And you get to make that decision, obviously, for however you want to do it.
Yes, exactly. The bigger question I have on Instagram is always back to this topic of, should I follow somebody back because they follow me? In other words, sometimes, and maybe this is a female thing, I feel a little guilty if I don't follow somebody back. But I had Jen Herman was on the podcast not too long ago, and she was talking, she's like an expert in Instagram, and her expertise, her advice was, only follow back the accounts that you like, because you want your Instagram feed to be full of things that you like so that you'll spend time on that feed.
Yeah. And as you grow, it's going to be nearly impossible to follow everybody who's following you. And it starts to become.
So at some point.
Yeah, there's a point where it's like, all right, well, thank you. But I mean, I guess Instagram hasn't released that yet. You can't like that someone followed you yet. I know you can now like comments. Someone can't follow you and say, hey, thanks, I like that. Not going to follow you back, but I appreciate the gesture. That'll come one of these days.
So Instagram is increasing, changing things a lot, huh?
Well,
so now you can like comments.
Yeah. The Facebook influence is really, really starting to, slowly bleed over.
Well, I have to admit, I kind of like that feature because I don't really, there's a lot of pressure to respond to every comment on Instagram.
I don't know how people do that.
That gets kind of time consuming.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how people do that. I applaud you.
I don't either. Yes.
If you are somehow able to sit and get all of those comments replied to, I think it's great too. Exactly. It's just like on Facebook. Yeah. It's nice to just be able to like it, and it's like they get it. You saw it.
Yes.
But you don't need to spend the time.
I acknowledge you. Yes.
And you can always say thanks, thank you, thanks. So many ways. At a point, it's just like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Okay, good. That's a lot of good Instagram stuff there. I think, hopefully people got some, good feedback there. So let's move on to the topic of YouTube, because this is a really good question. Basically, the question is, if you post a longer form video on YouTube and then you create a short version of that video and put it on Facebook, are you kind of eating your own traffic there? Are you, are you robbing Peter to pay Paul? What's up with that? Is that a good idea or not?
Well, this is a complex question. I think when I saw it, I was like, it's a great question, hard to answer. Because I think what this is referencing is the fact that YouTube is largely driven by average view time. And I think that spans within your own videos, but then it also spans from if you come and watch my video and then you stick around and watch a bunch of other videos, that also goes into the equation. So even if my video was shorter, but then you stick around for 40 minutes, and that happens a lot with me, then maybe that's still okay. So there's sort of those two sides of it. I will say that, yes, I agree that for your own personal channel view time, if you're on YouTube, that stat when you're looking at your analytics, your average time viewed, those shorter videos are definitely going to pull that down. If you have, so the quick math, if you have a video that's 10 minutes long and a video that's 1 minute long, and 10 people watch the 10-minute long video and then 10 people watch the 1 minute long video, then you got 20 views. Is anybody writing this down? So then you've only got 110 minutes for those 20 views, right? Because of that short one. So then your average goes out. Somebody do the math there. What's 110 divided by 20? Five and change. So
change.
yeah. So in other words, now your average view time looks like it's only around 5 minutes instead of closer to 10 because you have that minute long video. So yes, I get that is a reality. Now, there are all the other factors of engagement, likes, things that go into it that I wouldn't want to distill it down to one thing like that. But I can definitely see that, YouTube wants people to watch as much on YouTube as possible. And if that means that they're just coming to yours and watching 1 minute and then leaving, that's probably not going to raise that video up in the ranks for SEO on YouTube.
Well, and here's my question too. Like if I post a shorter, let's say it is a 10-minute video and I create a 1 to 2 minute video snippet of that and put it on Facebook, it seems like those could be two different audiences.
I definitely think that they're different audiences. I think it's a different audience on Facebook. It's a slightly but similar audience on Instagram. But yeah, I think YouTube is a much different audience. Our short form videos on YouTube don't do nearly as well as our longer form because I think YouTube has sort of positioned themselves as a longer form content platform, whereas Facebook and Instagram are sort of the quick hits,
Yes. People are not going to be on Facebook watching a 10-minute video.
And I also think it depends on what your priorities are. If you don't really care about getting massive traffic on YouTube because you don't make a lot of money on YouTube unless you have an insane amount of traffic and you're not trying to be a YouTube star, then it can be a totally valid place to host your videos and serve them up on your blog. So, because you never want to actually upload your video directly to your blog. You want to host it somewhere and then play it, then it's fine because it doesn't really matter to you. You don't really care if you're not getting tons of YouTube traffic. So I think it also depends on what your priorities are with those platforms.
That's what I was kind of thinking too. Like if you're on YouTube and you're getting some serious traffic and you're trying to grow that, I think you probably have some very specific strategies to make that happen. And then just doing the Facebook would be a different strategy for a different area. I don't know if that makes sense, but
totally makes sense.
It's probably in growing your audience in a different way.
If you are doing hosted content on YouTube where you're talking and you have multi-minute videos, then you probably shouldn't be putting your 1 minute long, fast-paced, sort of tasty style videos on YouTube.
Yes.
If you're not doing that on YouTube, then it's probably not going to matter because you're not making longer form content anyway. So go ahead and use it to host them.
Right.
Some people will find them, but you're just not going to be at the top of the search results.
How about this, Trevor? What if you had a longer video on YouTube and you created a teaser video to put on? Like maybe you talk a little bit about it, you pull snippets out, and then for more go to my YouTube video.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, you could do whatever you want, and some people might have success with that, and that might tank for some people. This actually just came up somewhere else. This just came up somewhere else where they were talking about, should I even with like the fast-paced videos, should I just do a tease on Facebook or Instagram to get people to go to the site? Personally, I don't think that's a very good strategy because I just don't think that it's not as shareable, it's not as engaging when it's not the actual content. So while maybe you'll get people to click through, they're not going to be as apt to share that, to like it, to comment it, to tag a friend in it. It's just a teaser video. So, that I don't necessarily think is the best tactic there, but just like you said, it really depends on what your goals are. And I think that you need to look at what your goals are and then what your best strategy to achieve those goals is.
It's just hearing you answer that question just makes me realize like sometimes blogging is a leap of faith, don't you think? Like I have this tendency to be like the person who asked you that question. I would rather just do the teaser. I just want to keep it all in so that you have to only go to my site to get the thing,
Yeah.
And then I just have to realize that I have to just relax and let it, like the more I put out there, that's, serving my audience and fulfilling their needs, and then the traffic comes.
Well, and I think that, probably one of the most valuable marketing techniques for online services nowadays is giving a lot away for free. Giving a significant amount of information away for free to get that person to say, hey, I trust this person. I believe in this person. And now, after I got all of that for free, for that person who didn't get anything from it, I could have just walked away. But now I'm going to purchase that product, or I'm going to come to that site, or that's going to become my new favorite food blog. So I think you got to keep that in mind, that it's not always the worst thing in the world to give something away for free, because it might in the long run bring you a lot more in return.
Yeah, I like that. So in some ways, those videos are a way of like establishing relationship. You want to trust my recipes.
Yeah. And you entertained me, and that made me want to cook something. And I like that. I like the way I feel when I, see things from you. I'm going to start going to your blog too, and follow your Facebook page, and maybe I'll find you on Instagram and pin your recipes. And, that's kind of the idea, right?
Yes, exactly. I think, I sometimes put myself in the position, maybe because I have been here myself, of the person who is trying to figure all this stuff out. And it can easily fall into this, like, I am just following what other people are doing. But when I start to like think about it, what you just said, and create it as my own strategy, then it starts to make more sense to me. Like, oh yes, I'm doing this to build trust with my audience. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think that's totally valuable. And I think it's always really important to ask those questions and to think through everything. Don't just even, stuff that you hear on here, don't just go with it just because you heard it on here. I think it's good to investigate that, right. Think about it, and come to your own conclusions always.
Yes. I love it. Okay. So we have another question, and that is, we're going to stick with this video trend here. I'm starting to do video with my ad network, and they want the video files to be in 20 to 25 MB per minute. What is MB?
Megabits.
Megabytes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Boy, I sound ignorant now.
No,
so how do I do that?
No, megabits is the thing too. It's actually not that difficult. But you do, when you're exporting your video, typically, and this is going to vary, so I'm not going to say exactly how you do it, but you can change the bit rate at which you are exporting those videos. So, and that is pretty much just saying how much you're compressing it, right? So for that, approximately that size, what you want to be looking at is bringing your videos down to 2.5 megabits per second. Those are typically in megabits per second is how they show those when you're exporting out. And if you set it at 2.5, about every minute is going to be in that 20 to 25 megabyte range, closer to the 25. So that's what I tell people. Okay,
so if MB is megabytes, what is the acronym for megabits?
Oh, well, see, now you got to ask me that. It shows up. It should be capital M, capital B. I believe it's capital. I'm going to pull it up here, but I think it's capital M, capital B, lowercase it is what you'll see the bit rate listed in. But let me pull it up so that I can. I don't want to.
And this is just me wanting to not feel so ignorant and asking the question that way. So don't worry about it.
No, but that's good though. I think that too many people are worried about sounding like they don't know. I think it's stupid. So valuable. Oh, sorry. It's capital M, lowercase BPS, megabits per second. Yes. So capital M, BPS. But in an application like Premiere Pro, if you're using Premiere Pro and you go to export and the video tab, you just set the bitrate settings to the target and maximum to 2.5, and that should give you the size. That's Premiere Pro.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps people when they're, as more and more people are getting into video, it is really kind of there's a whole learning curve with all of that.
Yep.
And, we're going to talk about more about that in a minute, but I want to go to this last question really quickly, and then we'll go back to, I want to talk with everybody about the video program that you're putting together. But let's talk first about LLC, because I know a lot of people have this question, and I think it's an important one. And that is, should I form an LLC for my blog? And I'm going to answer that question because I don't currently have an LLC, and I really feel like I should, but I don't.
Why do you feel that way? It's an interesting question.
Well, there's a couple of things. One is legitimate, and one is just a mentality. We were talking about, mind frames and mind, how we feel about things. There's a part of me that feels like maybe I would feel a little more legitimate as a business if I actually was an LLC. But at the same time, so Sean, he formed an LLC, and then we got all this junk mail from him, just credit card companies and all this stuff.
Everybody finds out.
Yes. And I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do that so bad. But at the same time, I know that it's on the radar screen. Let me say it that way.
Well, so we should also preface with this. Neither of us are lawyers. So, you should always seek your own legal counsel on this. Don't take our advice as any sort, or an accountant, as any sort of legal advice. I can tell you what my experience is, because I've had LLCs. Show Me the Yummy right now is not an LLC. But you know what an LLC does, right? Is it's limited liability corporation, so there's some protection there. If someone sues you, it's your house isn't up for grabs so much. It's just the business assets, right? So I'll tell you what my accountant who does my taxes told me, because I asked her the question. I was like, I just don't think I want to, because it comes with a certain amount of paperwork that you have to deal with. You have to annually depending on state, there's all sorts of kind of paperwork that you have to deal with. And her response was this, and I thought that this was a good one. And she just said, if you're not operating a crane and you don't have employees, then there's not really any need to do it. And again, not legal advice. But in other words, we're not in necessarily an occupation where we're probably going to be sued, most likely. Yeah. Obviously, anything can happen. But and so, our risk profile for that, we'll say, is relatively low. And so, and we don't have employees at this moment. And so it hasn't been something that we've really focused on, especially with the size of the blog. If you're not making a decent amount of money, it can just be a whole lot of trouble. But some people just want to, like you were saying, some people want to do it. But I don't think that it's necessarily something that you have to do or should be concerned if you aren't. Non-legal advice. But
no, at some point there are some tax advantages, right?
No, I don't think there's really that many tax advantages if you're just a single person. It depends on how you form the corporation. I'm not going to establish myself as some sort of expert on this, but to my understanding, and I think that my accountant would have said to the, and again, when this conversation happened, the blog wasn't making tons of money, and so I don't think that there's necessarily on the surface a ton of tax breaks or advantages to doing that. You can do things like there are different types, like I think it's a S corp where you're actually taking a salary. Then
I've been an S corp before.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, there, and then that gets a little more complex, and so there are different things there. So talk to your accountant, I guess, is the short answer. But I would also say don't panic if you aren't an LLC right now. Everything's fine. It's going to be very similar if you're just a single member LLC as what you're doing now, except you're going to have to report to the state annually and update things and pay fees and pay a lawyer or some service or do it yourself. But
yes,
that's what I'd say.
You raise an interesting point, because let's say as an S corporation, my previous company, I did achieve some benefits as far as tax savings. However, I also then had to pay for my accountant to do payroll and things like that. So I don't know that the
separate
two offset each other enough.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing. If you, depending on exactly how you're formed, you may have to file a whole separate tax return, which might double how much it costs to have your taxes done. So again, it's all about that income. But I think for me, my personal opinion is that, if you're in the range of making less than $40,000 a year on your blog, I don't necessarily think that it's worth it, but come to your own conclusion.
I agree. I think the cutoff point with my accountant, when we formed the S corp, was right around 50 to 60,000. I think that was a really good figure.
Yeah.
But I think you raise a good point. Even above that, you don't have to feel like it's like a slam dunk that you have to do this.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we brought in above that in 2016, and we're not an LLC, and the world's spinning, and everything's fine.
Everything's okay.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
We're doing all right. Now we might start hiring people next year, at which point we might say, okay, now it's worth it because now we're involving other people, and then the protections become more valuable. But up to this point, it hasn't been something that we're too concerned about.
Okay. I think that's good. Hopefully that gives people a reason to take a deep breath. And first of all, know that you're not unusual if you don't have it. And you're not like a freak if you don't have it.
Unless that means that if I don't, I am unusual and a freak, because then that would be uncomfortable for me to find that out while we're live on air. It's really awkward.
Sorry, that's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, that's, Yes, you're not a freak. You're not weird. It's something that you need to decide if you want to do.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to go back to video just for a moment, and that's because I want to tell everybody about this new video course that you've got coming on. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we're actually announcing it tomorrow, I think. And what we're doing is we're taking the Show Me the Yummy food video workshops. If you're unfamiliar, my wife, Jennifer, and I, we do video workshops over the course of 2 days in Madison, Wisconsin. And it's this really intensive 8 hours a day, pretty much give you all the knowledge you ever need to know to create a food video. And so there's been a lot of interest about having access to something that like that online. And in the Blog Village, we have some courses where we talk about video and editing. But what we've created is a very specific, extensive, and vast course about everything you need to know to create amazing food videos. So we took our hands-on workshop and we're creating an online course so that people will be able to purchase the course and have lifetime access. It's going to have regular updates with everything. There's going to be all sorts of really fun features to it. It's going to have hours and hours. We're talking 8, 10 plus hours of content that goes through shooting, setup, lighting, equipment, techniques to shoot, special effects, editing, post-processing, pretty much any and everything you'd ever need to know. And then as additional things come up, new content will be added that people will always have access to. So that is going live, and we're doing a really special deal for the next 2 weeks, and then it's going to be a little less special for 2 weeks, and then it's going to just be what the regular full price is after that. So if you go to showmetheyummy.com/workshops, plural, showmetheyummy.com/workshops, it's also in the menu on showmetheyummy.com. You can check it out, and if you're listening to this around when it's live, there's a really amazing deal where you can save hundreds of dollars in the initial pre-order of the course. Course is going live middle of January, so that's it.
And there's still going to be opportunities for people to come and see you and do them in person, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a different, and some people like to learn that way, and we love meeting people and doing those too. So those are definitely not stopping. We'll also, the announcement for our next workshops will also be made public at the same time. So all that information.
I love that lifetime access. I think that's so important because, like some of these videos that you may purchase and then they go away and it's like, wait, I remember this thing I wanted to hear, and it's all going to be right there. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yep. So we're really excited about that, and excited to have that around 2017 and hopefully help a lot of people.
Here's the reason I think that's so important is because video is huge for food bloggers now. It really is a way to help, kind of distinguish yourself from the others that are out there, and especially with brands and also, just with your audience as well. So it's great. I think you mentioned when I interviewed you and Jennifer for the Chopped podcast that I think you said this. Did you say this? It was like when you really started launching video is when you really started getting huge traffic.
Well, I would say that traffic to the site has pretty steadily increased over time. Okay. It's tough with that, but I would say our social growth, our income has taken a steep turn from our social reach, and from the income from the money we're able to earn with brands has definitely increased. And social wise, I'm looking at the stats just this month, and like in the last 30 days on Instagram, we've gained 4,300 followers, and I guarantee you 90% of those are from people who watched the videos that we post on Instagram. And the same thing with Facebook. We added 7,000 followers, and that's, I would say, 95% from videos. And I think that most bloggers will tell you that are doing videos is that's where they see the massive... and occasionally you might have a photo that just goes viral. And I'm not saying that never happens, but it's just the frequency and the odds of that happening with a video are just so much greater than just with photos anymore, because it's just not what the platforms are pushing.
I think that's why when you're on Instagram, when you look at someone's, their profile page and you see all their photos, if there's somebody that does video, it seems like they usually do several videos. They're not going to just do one video. It's like a lot, because I think it's because they see the growth that comes from it.
Well, and we've moved away from, typically we definitely still do photo posts on Instagram, but if you pull up our Instagram, which through the magic of technology, I can do that on my phone right now. What you'll see is we have some photos, but by far the content, like I'm looking right now, and the top 12 things we have on there, we have 2 photos and 10 videos that are up right now.
Wow.
The next 12 is, again, 3 photos, and the next 9 are videos. So that's really what we've been seeing grow like gangbusters video.
Awesome. So if somebody's out there and they're inspired to increase video, either through social media or on their site or working with brands, whatever, sounds like sign up for your course. Go to Show Me the Yummy. Is that what you said? .com?
Yeah, showmeytheyummy.com/workshops. And you can find all the info there.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Marley.
That's great. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that wraps up Blog Talk for today. And I have one last question for you, Trevor. What are you going to do for the holidays?
We are going to, so we've got some friends coming in, my friends that just got, that I married. I officiated a wedding, Marley. I was an officiant.
Get out.
Yes, it was fun.
Are you a minister?
I'm an ordained minister. It takes 30 seconds online nowadays. It's kind of amazing. But
they'll take anybody, won't they?
Yeah, I married them. There was singing. There was a selfie involved in the wedding. It was pretty fun. But they're coming into town, so we're going to see them, and then we'll be down seeing my mom this weekend, and then just seeing as many friends we can back in Cedar Rapids, where we grew up, and then back to work. Back to work for New Year's. Yeah.
Busy times, yeah.
Busy times.
Sounds exciting.
Times. Yeah, it's going to be fun. What about you?
Well, we're hosting the family dinner here. And that means my sister we're vegan, so we provide all the vegan stuff. And then my sister will bring the other non-vegan things for the dinner.
Pressure's on, Marley.
We'll have a good time.
Pressure's on.
That's right. That's
better be good.
It also happens to be a Chiefs game. So we'll be watching the Chiefs game with family, and we'll have a great time.
Awesome.
I know. I really am loving okay, so the demands of a food blog is so high, but at the same time, I'm really trying to make myself take time to make my house look comforting and homey and decorative, and so I'm doing all of that, and I really enjoy it a lot.
You're doing so much better than we are. There's not. I think we have a Christmas card that someone sent us that's up. Otherwise, there are very very little indications. We're so bad at decorating. We need to start just a lifestyle blog or a home decor blog just to force ourselves to do it. There's nothing on the walls. I've got sound absorption foam on the walls. That's the only decorations we have on the walls in our apartment. It's
well, next year when you hire your help, then you'll have more time.
Brilliant. Yes. Then when they sue me, I'll be protected with my LLC. It'll be brilliant.
That's right. Well, Trevor, thanks so much. It's been wonderful. I'm looking forward to more blog talks next year with you.
Yeah, this is it. This is the end of 2016. Well, look at that.
Yes.
All right. Well, I am also looking forward to it, as you know, and I don't want to speak for everyone listening, but I think everyone is really looking forward to these as well.
I think so too. And in fact, if you are looking forward to more blog talks, please feel free to send us your questions. You can email them to me at marley@choppedcon.com. How about you, Trevor? Can people reach out to you?
They can hit me at trevor@showmetheyummy.com or trevor@theblogvillage.com. Either one.
Yep. We'd love to have your questions. We want to answer them. And also, if you're just loving this podcast, head over to Instagram. Now, I did it again. Head over to iTunes or Stitcher and leave us a review. Or Instagram. That works too. But all of that helps the show get seen, and that really helps support us a lot. So we really appreciate it. So everybody, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.